Hey everyone, finished watching the next episode of Power Rangers Megaforce, Prince Takes Knight. The Rangers are at Ernie's discussing Robo Knight. Troy tells the others about seeing Robo Knight in his dreams, and he's not sure if he's on their side or not. This is a cool idea, which unfortunately doesn't come across well since Robo Knight is obviously working alongside the Rangers in the dream. The villains plan on tricking Robo Knight into working for them. Vrock changes into his weird alternate form and recruits a Kappa monster, Psycho Tick. The monster is already on Earth. Where did it come from? Tick being part of its name makes me think it was part of Malcor's crew, but there's nothing insect-like about it. It's a Kappa. I know Kappas aren't that well known over here, but why not make it a duck or some other aquatic bird? Also, make it one of the mutants' allies, since it's on Earth and didn't come from space. Now, whatever, there's still a whole episode ahead. Psycho Tick attacks a carnival, and the Rangers jump in the battle. They just happen to be right there, I guess. Why haven't we seen the Rangers teleport at all since the first episode? Robo Knight shows up and fights the monster, insisting he can handle it alone. Robo Knight doesn't seem to notice or care when he almost hurts some bystanders. While he fights the monsters, the Rangers get the surrounding civilians to safety. Psycho Tick throws a giant tick at Robo Knight, which teleports him away. So I guess that's why the monster's name is Psycho Tick. His name came from his power, and him being a Kappa doesn't really matter. The Rangers go to Gosei. They discuss Robo Knight. Jake doesn't think he's worth getting back. Troy decides they have to rescue him. He's a ranger. Vrock and Psycho Tick hold Robo Knight in a cage. If he tries to escape, the giant tick will steal his energy. Troy finds Robo Knight and fights Vrock. Gia leads the others against Psycho Tick and an army of Loogies. We get a pretty cool unmorphed fight. After the Loogies are defeated, the Rangers join Troy. Gia and Jake try to break Robo Knight out of his cage. He doesn't understand why they would put his life before the mission. Robo Knight is inspired by their teamwork and breaks free himself. Robo Knight destroys Psycho Tick, but Vrock revives him with the Zombats. Robo Knight summons his own Zords and transforms into his own Zord form. He then combines with them to form the Gosei Grand Megazord. The card says ground, not grand, but whatever, who cares. With his Megazord, he manages to defeat Psycho Tick for good. The Rangers thank Robo Knight and invite him to work with the team. He insists, though, that he must work alone. This was a pretty good episode for Megaforce. I really wish there was more to the villains. They're so boring. We don't even get to see Bloofer and Biggs at all. What was the point of introducing them if we're immediately ignoring them? This episode's conflict with Robo Knight is similar to Magna Defender back in Lost Galaxy. Both Robo Knight and Magna Defender risked the lives of civilians in their own personal crusades. Magna Defender, however, acted that way because he had a singular goal. Robo Knight is just reckless. There's some implication that Robo Knight should care about the people around him, but there's something wrong with him after being in hibernation for so long. It's a point that works, but I'd prefer him to have reasoning of his own. Maybe Robo Knight shouldn't have been a robot at all, but an actual knight. Maybe he could have been another former ally of Zordon who's come to Earth specifically because of the latest alien invasion. I like Robo Knight, but I wish there was more depth to him. The monster of the episode, Psycho Tick, isn't particularly memorable, but he's voiced by Kelson Henderson, finally returning to the series after a few years' absence. He provides a decent voice, distinctly different from voices he's done before. Kelson Henderson was a staple of the Disney seasons, starting out as a one-off character in Dino Thunder. He went on to play Boom in SPD, an endearing fan favorite. Next, he'd play Phineas in Mystic Force, which further cemented his warm likability. In Operation Overdrive, he played Norg, the Goofy Yeti, and Mig, one of the many villains. Jungle Fury's Flit was one of his less popular roles, but he still gave it his all, and in the finale revealed his true performance without annoying voice filters. RPM featured him as the evil Satbot, one of the few monsters that could talk. It was a small but pivotal role, especially for Dylan, the Black Ranger. Once Power Rangers was back with Saban and on Nickelodeon, Kelson Henderson was slow to return in a major role. He wasn't in Samurai, and only voiced one-off monsters in Megaforce and Dino Charge. Ninja Steel featured his big on-screen return as the shape-shifting alien Mick. Beast Morphers featured him as Cruz, a robot. He'd return as Mick a few times in Dino Fury and its sequel season, Cosmic Fury. Well, but it's a good thing Kelson Henderson was involved with this episode, because otherwise I wouldn't have much to talk about. Vrock, once again, uses his alternate form. I don't know what purpose it serves. I've heard from some fans it's battle armor, but in Harmony and Discord, he battles in his normal look. In Ghostager, there's several different groups of villains, and Vrock changes his appearance and works with all of them. That makes sense, but over here, he just randomly jumps from one look to another. I think a greater effort should have been made to work that aspect in over here. I'm reminded of Dino Thunder's inconsistency with several of its elements. Back then, I said the show shouldn't have fought so hard against the Abba Ranger footage it was utilizing. Megaforce, as well, shouldn't be fighting against Ghosager, especially considering there was far more time to analyze and adapt it. Disney didn't even know where or how Abaranger would end when they were creating Dino Thunder, but Saban should know how Ghosager ends, since there's elements of its following season Gokaiger present in Megaforce. Megaforce is a very odd season to analyze. I don't think I've ever seen a show with anywhere near as much miscommunication behind the scenes. Jungle Fury had scab writers take over from the typical writers during a writer's strike, and that somehow remained fairly consistent. There was plenty of awkward moments, but nowhere near the amount in Megaforce. So, yeah, it's the Robo Knight show now.